Hello, everybody. Welcome. Looks like we've got lots of folks trickling in here. Thanks so much for joining us on a Friday. I don't know if it's morning or afternoon where you all are, but welcome, welcome. We'll just give folks another minute here, but in the meantime, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Erica Morgan, lead implementation manager here at Vidyard. I essentially run all of the implementations for our new customers for the first 60 to 90 days of their contract, just to basically help ensure that they really hit the ground running with all things video, and I help get their accounts set up and branded and their teams trained. So that's essentially my main function. And we also have Anna here as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Erica. Yeah, I'm Anna. I'm on the frontlines team here at Vidyard. So I typically work with inbound and outbound motion. A lot of times I'll be the first point of contact if anyone books a meeting with us to help you kind of uncover how to utilize video. And then I also have worked the outbound motion. So working a lot of leads and just trying to convert a lot of them into a pipeline. And so, yeah, really excited to talk about today's workflow and yeah.
Awesome. While we're getting started, if you want to let us know in the chat which city you're joining from, if you have any exciting weekend plans, feel free to let us know. I'm tuning in from Southern Ontario in Canada, just about an hour or so from Kitchener-Waterloo for anybody who's familiar. But yeah, let us know where you are dialing in from. We've got Warrenville, Illinois. Amazing. Thanks, Tina. Sioux Falls, Dawn, welcome. Nashville, Mike, Nashville. I've wanted to go there so badly for so many years. I'm very jealous that you live in Nashville. Mike, Saskatoon, welcome. Carla, Lamar's. I have not heard of that, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Love to see all the representation. We've got lots of folks from the US, a couple of Canadians. We're all also very close to being on the cusp of some holidays coming up next week. We've got Canada Day on Wednesday. We've got July 4th right after that. So I know all of us are probably slowly kind of winding down for summer. So again, thank you so much for being here. Oh, Brooklyn, very cool. Corey, Brooklyn, that is a very happening city. Liz, very cool. Georgia. Lots of representation across many of the states. Love to see it. Welcome, everybody. So we're about 4 minutes in. So we're probably going to go ahead and get started. Apple Valley, also very cool. Welcome, Charlotte. So like I said, we're about 4 minutes or so in now. We've got lots of great stuff that we want to cover with you all. A little bit of housekeeping here, just a quick heads up because we always get the question. We are going to be recording this session, as you probably saw when you logged into the Zoom webinar. That is going to be shared out in a follow-up as well as the resources that we'll be looking at today. So myself and Anna have lots of great links and resources that we want to share with you all. And again, not to worry, we're going to share everything. Oh, Jennifer, if there's an echo, our apologies. If anybody else is experiencing that, let us know. Hopefully, it's a one-off. Awesome. All righty. Okay, so getting right into it. Excuse me. For anybody joining a Vidyard workshop series session for the very first time, here's what you need to know. Our workshop series is where our team walks you through practical ways to get more out of Vidyard. These sessions are very hands-on, lots of real examples that you can put into action right away. And you can also check out all the past sessions on demand if you missed them, and there are a lot. We are on session number 9 and we have covered many incredible topics, so I highly suggest checking those out. And then a couple of other quick logistics here. Drop your reactions and comments in the chat, but please save your questions for the Q&A tab specifically. Our team behind the scenes, kind of behind the curtain there, they're going to be keeping a very close eye on the Q&A tab. So we love your questions. We will absolutely have time at the end for any questions that you have. Just make sure they are in the Q&A tab specifically. Perfect. And then, like I said, don't worry about taking notes. I mean, if you want to follow along, feel free. We're going to try to share a couple of the links as we go today, but otherwise, please don't sweat it. We are going to share everything in the follow-up email. All right, so let's get right into it. Excuse me. So, in terms of previously over the last few workshops, we've covered a lot of content, as I mentioned. We've covered how to create, share, publish, and connect your videos into the tools your teams already use. Last session, we focused on how to enable video view notifications, understanding your viewer engagement metrics, and how to turn those video views into useful signals. This is a huge topic for many of our customers, so remember, you can always catch those sessions on demand. We will pop the link in the chat there for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to get more out of Vidyard at a technical level. So, whether you're a developer on your team or you're just curious about what's possible under the hood, there's something here for everybody. We'll start with a really quick overview of the Vidyard Player API. So, basically, what it is, why it matters. And then we will jump right into how you can embed video programmatically so that video lives exactly where you need it to in your product or workflow, not just on a standalone page. From there, we'll look at how you can actually query and interact with the player in real time and how to capture events like plays, pauses, watch progress. And then this is where things will get really useful from a data standpoint. And then we will wrap up the session with webhooks, specifically how you can use them to kick off custom workflows based on what your viewers are doing. And by the end of today's session, you'll hopefully have a very clear picture of what's possible and what your team can start building with.
Awesome. So before we get into the how, sorry, before we get into the how, 1 minute on why this is worth your time. Out of the box, Vidyard is a really great tool for recording and sending video, but a lot of teams get to the point where they want more. They want videos to live on their website, on the platform, and then also kind of understand what happened and what to do with that data. And with that information, like updating your record, trigger a follow-up, or feed it into a workflow that your team already has. So that's what this session will unlock. We'll show you how to embed video exactly where you need it, how to listen for what viewers are doing, and as it happens in the browser, and how to connect viewing data to the rest of your stack automatically once a session wraps up. By the end, you'll know what's possible and have a clear idea of where to start.
Amazing. So let's get right into it. APIs versus webhooks. So I just wanted to touch on this because I know when I first started at Vidyard 8 years ago, I was not particularly clear on what either of these features do, but we can unlock a lot of value with them. So let's start with the API. And quite frankly, if that word makes your eyes glaze over, just hang with me because this is actually a pretty simple concept. An API is basically a messenger between two apps. So think of it like a waiter at the restaurant. You tell the waiter what you want, the waiter goes to the kitchen, gets it, and brings it back to you. You never had to go into the kitchen yourself. The Vidyard API works essentially the same way. So your other tools, your CRM, your marketing platform, your internal dashboard, they can all talk to Vidyard through the API to get things done automatically. And what can you actually do with it? Here's a few things that you can do through our API today. You can upload and manage videos programmatically. You can pull viewer data and analytics into your own reports. You can create or update folders and playlists automatically, and you can generate personalized video links at scale. So a quick example of that, let's say your sales team closes a deal and marks it one in Salesforce. You could use the Vidyard API automatically to send that new customer a personalized onboarding video. No manual work required. The moment the deal is marked, the video is on its way. And then let's briefly talk about webhooks. So if the API is you asking for something, a webhook is Vidyard telling you that something has happened. So a simple analogy here, imagine you ordered a package. With the API, you'd have to keep calling the shipping company to ask, is it here yet, over and over. A webhook is like getting a text notification the moment your package is delivered, which is exactly the day and age that we are living in today. You don't have to ask, it's just going to tell you. So Vidyard webhooks send an automatic notification to a system of your choice the minute something happens with your video. A couple of quick examples of what events could actually trigger a webhook. A viewer watches a video, a viewer hits a specific watch percentage, maybe it's 50% or 100%. A viewer submits a form on your video, or maybe let's say a new video is uploaded to your account. You can leverage webhooks for all of these different things to get notifications. Quick real life example, let's say a prospect watches your demo video all the way to the end. That's a pretty strong buying signal, right? So with a webhook, the moment that that happens, your CRM can automatically flag that content as high priority and trigger a follow-up task for your rep. Your rep didn't even have to check anything. They just got an alert and made the call. That's closing deals faster. So when do you use one over the other? So here's a simple way to think about it. Use the API when you want to do something in Vidyard from another system. So upload a video, pull analytics, create a playlist, things like that. Use webhooks when you want Vidyard to notify you so another system can react. So again, going back to those triggers. Quick example of that, triggering a CRM task where somebody watches your video, update a lead score when somebody hits 75% watch time. That's one quick example. Most of the teams that we work with, a lot of our Vidyard customers, they end up using both together. So the API pushes content into Vidyard and then webhooks will pull insights back out in real time. Together, they make your video data super useful across your entire tech stack. So let's ground this in a couple of real scenarios, team by team. So for sales teams, let's say, again, a rep records a personalized video, they send it. The moment the prospect watches it, a webhook fires and logs that view in Salesforce automatically. That rep then gets a task to follow up. Again, no manual checking, no missed signals. For marketing teams, you run a video campaign. Instead of manually downloading a CSV of viewer data, you use the API to pull watch time and engagement metrics directly into your analytics dashboard every morning while you sip your tea. For customer success teams, you onboard a new customer. The API automatically creates a personalized onboarding playlist for their account based on the product they bought. Nobody had to build it by hand. And then lastly, for RevOps teams, you build a simple automation where any lead who watches more than 60% of a video gets their score bumped up in HubSpot or Marketo automatically. Webhooks make that happen in real time. And then how do you get started? So first check out our developer docs. And again, we're going to share that here momentarily when we do a live demo, and we'll pop these links in the follow-up and in the chat in real time today. So you're going to check out our developer docs. We've got clear guides on authenticating with the API and setting up your first webhook endpoint. The docs are written for humans, not just engineers. Can confirm I am not an engineer and I use our documentation daily. Second, loop in whoever manages your CRM or marketing automation. You don't need to build this yourself. You just need to know what you want to happen, and your team or a developer can wire it up for you. And then third, just start small. So pick one use case like getting notified when a prospect watches your video and build that first. Once you see how easy that is to set up and how seamless it is to work, it's easy to expand your use cases from there. And just wanted to let everybody know that, of course, your team at Vidyard, we are here to help. So your customer success manager can connect you with our solutions team if you want to walk through what's possible for your specific tech stack. And then we do have fantastic help articles that we'll share. We also even have some great videos in those help articles for you. Awesome. So let's do this live. All righty. Okay, give me one second here. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Just a quick thumbs up using the Vidyard Player API is what everybody is seeing. Yep, perfect. Thanks, Anna. Alrighty, so like I said, we're going to start with the Player API. This is one of the links that we're going to be sharing. So if you want to go to knowledge.vidyard.com, that's our expansive help center. We've actually got over 1,000 articles in there. So if you want this immediately, you can do a very quick search for Player API, Video API, or you can do the webhook search as well. Lots and lots of supporting documents. The majority of these Help Center articles, by the way, because we are a video company, you will find lots of videos in these. I know that's personally how I learn, and it's not just because I work at Vidyard. I'm a very visual person. I need that video. I don't just want to read tons of text. So highly encourage for those of you that are getting familiar with these two features to check those videos out. Super. So in terms of the Player API, the first thing I wanted to mention is where you can actually find those. So within your Vidyard account, depending on the plan that you're on, if it does include APIs and webhooks, you're going to be able to find those from the admin panel in your account on the left navigation. So I'm going to hit admin, and then we've got API tokens here. So when you're ready to use your API tokens, you're going to go to that page, you're going to copy the token depending on what it is that you're going to be using it for, and then you're going to be able to start triggering those responses. And then similarly from the apps and integrations page, once we get into the webhooks, you're going to be able to scroll to the bottom, and then you're going to find the analytics webhook here. You can hit add, and then you're just going to go ahead and go through those prompts. So a couple of different options here with percentage watched, attention span, identified view, things like that. So basically having those endpoints is what you're looking for. Awesome. And then with that, I also just want to share, as I mentioned, I know this sounds like a lot of technical jargon and a lot of developer type of stuff. Of course, we do offer developer dashboards with all of the different codes. So I'll just quickly show you how nicely organized this is. Just a couple of examples here with some of those API calls that you can make, depending on what it is you're trying to achieve. So we've got a whole bunch of different, and again, for anybody whose eyes are glossing over, I totally understand it's a lot of code, but just bear with us here. So more so for developers, but there are lots of great resources here with some examples of different API calls that you can use. Perfect. So lots of attributes and things as well below. And then a couple of other things that we wanted to chat through here. The developer documents, like I said, we're going to share that out. And a couple of things that we wanted to emphasize, the API is built into the embed code. There's nothing extra to install or opt into. So it works with Vidyard's responsive embed, our V4 embed, not the legacy version, which I don't think will be an issue for most folks. So I just wanted to make that very clear for any developers in particular. And it's the foundation for everything else that we're going to be chatting about today. So when it comes to programmatically embedding videos, there's a lot of embed code that we wanted to share. And again, I don't know how technical our audience is here, and I don't want to lose anybody. It is Friday afternoon for a lot of folks, but you will find all that information in the documentation. For me, I mostly just want to know what are the use cases? How easy is this to implement? So that's where, again, our Help Center documentation with all of the videos are going to be very helpful for you. But just mostly wanted to showcase where you can find those webhooks, where you can find those APIs. So hopefully everybody has access to those if they're included in your Vidyard account. And then with the different script tags that you're seeing, like I said, it is quite extensive. So there's so many different player APIs that you can use. So if, for example, you're programmatically embedding videos on a web page and maybe you want to have some specific player APIs that are kind of external sitting outside of the video itself, maybe there's a play button, a pause button, maybe you want to have everything nicely branded where it's not just in the video container, it's actually on the page. That's again where those player APIs are going to come in handy. For anybody who has or is familiar with the Vidyard Marketo or HubSpot integrations, we do integrate with a lot of different platforms, but those are specifically using APIs and webhooks as well. So kind of acting as the in-between and allowing different platforms to speak to each other, passing data to and from, again, going back to the waiter analogy when it comes to those APIs. Perfect. So the Vidyard V4 player API, again, you can make different references to different live calls, API calls. So you can do play, pause, seek, things like that. And one thing I do want to quickly share as well for anybody who is not familiar, hopefully everybody has a high level understanding of how to actually share and embed Vidyard videos. If not, within your Vidyard folder, when you go to embed a video, you're going to hit the share button. Hopefully you've seen this window before, but you're going to go to the embed, the script tag here, and then you've got the web page embed. You've got the different types of embeds, so Lightbox and inline. So you can certainly use those when you are setting up your APIs as well. Awesome. So those are just some of the basics. Mostly with the APIs, the thing that you want to really focus on is just being able to programmatically do things. And I did want to give a quick real life example from a customer that I previously worked with at Vidyard when I ran their implementation a couple of years ago. It was actually a college sports company. And for anybody who has kids in college or played sports when you were in college, you probably remember how important it was when the scouting crews came around, especially if you were a star player and you wanted to stand out. So for a lot of these colleges, they have some professional videographers on staff, but they are creating hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of videos of all these different college players, whether it's basketball, soccer, football, whatever it is. So with that, basically the company that I was working with or implementing, they had a fantastically robust platform where they were using Vidyard APIs to take those video snippets of each of the players, and they were able to upload that into Vidyard using our uploader widget, and it went directly into their software. So that way, scouters, recruiters, they would be able to easily go in, see different players. If Anna was great at volleyball and I wanted to see a video of her at her best, I could quickly and easily do that. So using APIs, again, just programmatically, especially when we're talking higher volumes of video, can be super helpful. Awesome. And then for capturing video events, so play, pause, progress, things like that, the event listener, sorry, my voice is apparently checked out for the weekend. It will come back at some point. So there's different things that we can do with those. So play is going to return the event in the event time in seconds. So again, just what kind of engagement with my video am I getting? Is it, how much did they watch? Did they skip parts? So we've got all of those triggers that are going to be set up with APIs as well. So that's kind of the bulk of what we wanted to chat with about APIs. I know we kind of went down a slightly technical rabbit hole there, but hopefully everybody was able to follow along. And I will say the Help Center documentation simplifies these concepts a little bit for you. So hopefully not everybody is glossed over. Super. So when it comes to webhooks, so webhooks, I think I showed everybody where they are, but we'll touch on that again just to be certain. So again, we're going to go to admin, and then this time for the webhooks, we're going to apps and integrations. And then we've got the webhooks. They're probably going to be towards the bottom, and you're going to hit add. And then similar to APIs, but probably a little more simplified, to be honest. The analytics subscription webhook, you're going to be able to set that up and you want to make sure you have endpoints. So this is basically where something happens within Vidyard and then we are going to tell the platform that you indicate. So maybe it's somebody watched 50% of your video. As soon as that happens, we are going to let you know and that data is going to be pushed to whatever endpoint that you've identified. So just kind of some of the simple items on that one, but you can kind of sift through this if you're curious. And then I know this came up in the slide Anna previously showed as well, but just for another quick visual, whichever Vidyard folder you set up the webhook for, all of the subfolders underneath will also be leveraging that webhook. So you can see in this example, if you set up the webhook under the marketing folder, the August and July folders within Vidyard will also be picked up by those webhook triggers. Whereas the demos folder is a little bit further into the breadcrumb trail. It's just going to be pulling webhooks from there. So again, I know we were slightly technical on that, but yeah, I just wanted to end the webhook section off with the fact that webhooks are server side and not post session. So they're not the same as in the browser player events from the previous topic. But yeah, so we've got things like identified views, the percentage watch. Those are just some of the examples of webhooks. And yeah, there's a whole lot more you can do with those. And like I said, with your Vidyard team here, we've got lots of great folks that would be happy to have conversations with you about what both of these can do. Awesome. Perfect.
Sorry, let me share my screen. And that was amazing, Erica. Oh my goodness, I just learned so much from that. I was so dialed in. That was so thorough and wow, that's great content. Awesome. Just give me 1 second. Awesome, cool.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So let's recap what we covered today. Like I said, I know we kind of jumped around between the two topics and they were a little bit technical. So thank you so much for following along if you were able to. So you now know how to embed a Vidyard player programmatically using the responsive embed code. So basically just meaning that the video can live exactly where you need it inside your own product or workflow, not just necessarily on a Vidyard page. You know how to reference a player by UUID, which is basically just a fancy acronym for the Vidyard unique identifier that is specific to every single video across our whole platform. So those are call methods that are on that UUID directly, and then it just pulls metadata from it. So that's essentially the foundation for building any kind of custom viewing experience with the APIs. And you know how to listen for player events in the browser. So if you've set the API up so that you get notified if somebody hits play, pause, seek, different progress milestones for the viewer playback. And then this is going to allow you to react to whatever a viewer is doing in real time on the client side. And you now know how to set up a webhook to receive viewing data on your server after a session ends. So again, with the examples being percentage watched, attention span, identified view, and then you can route those into whatever system makes sense for your team. And for where to start, again, don't try building the whole integration on day one. Start small, pick one small thing. Maybe you need a couple folks on your team to help you set that up, a developer. And then you're going to grab the embed code and put it somewhere that you control. Add one event listener. So again, maybe it's percentage watched, it's play, pause, anything like that. And then you're going to point a webhook at a test endpoint and see what the payload looks like. And that's just enough to get you moving and get you started. The docs for everything we covered today, as we mentioned, are in Vidyard's Help Center under the developer tools and resources, and we're going to put those in the follow-up email as well. The current player API article and analytics webhook article are your two primary references, which you saw on my screen earlier. If you hit something in those documents that looks like it might say legacy at the top, just know that that's the old version. We want to make sure everybody is using the non-legacy articles instead.
Cool.
Perfect. All
And
set.
yeah, that was amazing. Again, Erica, thank you so much. That was really great content. And so yeah, save the date for our next session. We'll be covering topics like managing account access and user setup, overview of SSO configuration, and managing subscriptions and billing settings. So the next webinar will be July 16th. So yeah, definitely save the date. And now we have time for a Q&A. And I'm not sure if we had some questions. Um,
I don't know if we did either.
they were all so tuned in, as was I.
Hopefully tuned in, not tuned out. Again, I know it's Friday, I know it's summer, so really appreciate everybody being here. While we're waiting for any questions, I'll also just quickly throw this in. For anybody who is actively using AI, whether that's Claude, ChatGPT, if you do want a little bit more information, you could always just pose those questions to those AI platforms as to, hey, I'm interested in Vidyard's Player API or Webhooks. What can I do with them? Here's my business case. Here's the CRM that I use. So personally, I mean, I leverage Claude a lot for a lot of different things. So you can certainly pose the questions in there if you're looking for a fairly simple and straightforward starting point.
I think I'll probably no questions. So, yeah, everyone just saying again, really great content. All right. So,
Yeah. You can book some time with Anna and the team.
yeah. So, yeah, thanks for joining everyone. If you do want to book more time, the QR code is there. If it's very technical questions, I will send you to our technical specialist or someone more technical. But I think someone raised
I
a
yeah,
hand.
yeah, Mike
Mike?
Jackson. Mike Jackson, thanks so much for asking our only questions today. Plans for updating the API. That is a fantastic question. I don't know off the top of my head, Mike, but I'm more than happy to find that out from our team. I'm not sure if there's anything slated on the roadmap. I would be curious if there was something in particular you had in mind. There's probably a lot of different use cases and things that I didn't even touch on today. So, Mike, if you do have anything specific, feel free to grab that QR code that's on Anna's screen right now. And at the very least, our SDR team can get you those answers. Sounds like more options is what Mike is looking for. So, yeah, thanks for asking. Super. Alrighty, so yeah, I think that pretty much takes us to the end. That's a wrap. Thank you all again so much for joining. And again, just a quick reminder, if you're curious about any of the past Vidyard Workshop series sessions, they are so informative. I've been here for 8 years and I constantly learn new things. So feel free to check those out, even if you have them on in the background, kind of podcast style. And we super appreciate everybody being here today.
And sorry, last question. Yes, it is definitely recording. We can follow up with the recording afterwards as well. But yeah, thank you again for having me as well.